What's up, Saab fans around the world, and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing some things that we should have made like 5 months ago, but it is what it is. Sometimes in life you just do stuff and afterwards you learn, and that's just the way it goes. So anyone that just has no problems, that's the people that don't do anything. So the more you do, the more you will fail or learn. So it's just keep on going and keep on pushing. But in today's episode we are going to fix some stuff that I should have done a long time ago, but it is what it is. So let's get this started. So one of the first major and probably the worst failure I did when I built this engine, when I had the head at the side, everything loose, I checked the threads for the exhaust manifold and they looked fine. So I just installed the head back and then I threaded in some stainless steel bolts because I thought it would look nice and it wouldn't take as much space since it was really tight between the engine and the cooler and the turbo with the wastegate and everything. So I just threaded in the regular stainless steel bolts. Of course, just a little while after it started leaking, or it actually leaked the first time I started the car. And mainly was because of the exhaust manifold, which I have over here. Wasn't flat or machined at all, so it was wrapped. And since I didn't use the correct bolts, as you should use the OEM studs and thread them in, then use a nut to tighten it down. But anyways, it was completely wrapped, so the first thing I should have done was take it to a machine shop, then install the OEM bolts. But before all that, if you do an engine renovation, I highly recommend that you drill out the OEM threads and thread in some helicoils or some insert threads into the block instead, so you get a really nice stable like clamping force, so you can tighten it down really good, so you won't have any leak problems or anything. So I have been struggling, so I have loosened the turbo and the manifold a couple of times, so this engine has probably changed oil more than any Saab engine this year. But anyways, it is what it is. Now 2 of the bolts was a little bit loose, so this time I thought, no, now it's the time to do it right, like do everything right. So if something else is going to mess up, let it be, but now this is going to sit at least. So I took, it was actually this bolt right here and this right here, so the exhaust manifold was actually keeping pretty tight. It hasn't been any major leaks, so, but anyways, now they are threaded in and they sit like stone, so now it should be really good to thread them in back. You can see I reused because I was in a lot of hurry, so I reused the gasket, and here the gasket is pretty shot, so a new one has been ordered. And here you can see some exhaust leak as well, so that definitely messes up the tuning and the mapping of the car. And another thing that happened was the turbo started to leak like there is no tomorrow before last track day. So what I did was bolted in the turbo, and once again wrong material of the bolts. So this is like some regular like 8.8 bolts, That should not be the clamping force of a turbo. But anyways, I made my mistake. So since I didn't have a new gasket or anything, and the day after I should go to Trollhättan to attend the track day, so I just decided to weld this all together. And that is probably something I should have done from the very beginning, because this way you won't have any leaks as long as the welds are good. So I think that came out pretty good for being what it is. And the next problem I have had, it has not created a big issue yet, but on the track day when you waited in line for a long time, the engine temperature has been like 110, 114 Celsius, so getting really close to the oil started to boil, and that's no good at all. So the main issue, and I know a lot of people has been talking about it, so I installed some smaller or some tighter fans to be able to fit the turbo. But you can see right here where the fan sits, it sucks air really good, but all the open space right here doesn't get the same effect. So the fans only work in this area right here and not the complete area. So what you need is like this right here, the OEM. So as before, what I did from the beginning was that I installed the smaller fans because I know they would fit and I could get on with the car and start using it and stuff. But what I should have done was what I'm about to do right now. So I'm going to keep this OEM fan right here because there's not a big difference in the power or anything, and the size of the fans are all the same. It's just that the other fans are slim and these are pretty thick. But it's only this fan that's disturbing, like in the way for the turbo. So here we will cut out this right here and have the slim fan. And here we actually going to reuse this OEM fan, because this is a pretty good like shroud or what you call it. So here you have, it's really snug to the cooler, so the fan is actually sucking all of the heat or the air out here to keep the engine cool or the coolant cool. So this is the big space and that's the fan that we're keeping. This is the small space and this is the one that we are exchanging. So should be a lot better cooling after this modification right here, and not as big loss, because when we were at that track day, Joel, that's my tuner, he had like a super good temperature even though we were running about the same around the track. So, and I have terrible temperature, so now at least in Sweden the temperature has gone down quite a bit, so it's not a big problem right now. But there will be a summer next year also, and track days are all the time, so really need to fix this to get it 100%. Then I think, like, yeah, it's almost up to the tune then to settle all the little bits and pieces. And I have a new tune waiting for the car when I get it ready right now, so I'm super hyped to get everything back in order. But as I said, these I have threaded in some helicoils and locked them down, so this sits like really sturdy. So the next thing I will do is I will disassemble the cooler, and we will take a look at it outside so we can see if we could fit this new shroud over it. So here we have the radiator out, and as you can see I tried to do the placement of the fans similar to the OEM placement. So this fan is the one that we are going to stay with, and this one is going to be replaced, and we are going to put this cover on top of everything. So you can see that like a lot of the area, I would say like, it's a little bit drastic, but let's say 50% of the radiator's area is not covered. So this is the main issue to the bad cooling, and I have talked to guys before this, and I know there are custom made parts to buy to solve this issue with slim fans together with a shroud that's really nice and everything, but as you know, everyone isn't made of money, so you have to try and do the best you can. So this is me fixing the thing that I messed up basically. So it's not a big issue, it's just so boring to empty out all the coolant, all the oil every time like something happens. So this is me doing like once and for all, hopefully fixing all of this stuff. So let's get this on and we will see how things will fit. So this is the final product. So still slim on this side, but now we got a shroud, so now air won't leak out as bad as it was before. We still have some on the edge right here, and it seals a little bit better there, but no big deal. It will be 100% better than it was before. And this side is OEM. Had to do a little zip tie action right there because one of the brackets were broken, but this looks a lot more solid, so I'm gonna throw this in the car again. Then we will be getting ready to get the turbo back on, so maybe I will throw the turbo back in first actually. I think that would be a little bit easier since we got all this space right now. So a few days later I have been waiting for this gasket to get in, and I finally got it. So now I have matched it up and ported the exhaust manifold a little bit better. Before I didn't have time to do it, so it was just bone stock, and maybe the exhaust gases has been hitting the edges a little bit, but now they are very much more fine-tuned. So that is also the gasket from Speed Parts, that is a little bit bigger for ported heads, so it will fit really nice in here. So now let's throw that in, and afterwards we will install the radiator and the intercooler. So the exhaust manifold and turbo is back in place, all like water and oil lines attached, and it is so nice to have like all these pin bolts tighten down really hard and snug and really feel that it sits. So now it's time for something else to break. And I just love V-band clamps. This is so simple. Usually it's a pain in the butt to get the downpipe off. Here is just one screw and it just pops right off. So pretty easy to drop this in and just pop it out. But the boring part is you have to drain all the oil and all the coolant every time, and I'm getting sort of tired of it. So now I hope that everything will work as it's supposed to. And this is the second thing. So now we're gonna drop in the modified radiator and hope it cools a lot better than it did before. It should do because of the OEM fan that's back, and the other slim fan also back, but in a better position to like direct the flow at least. So we will throw that in, and then we will take the intercooler back, because I think it will be a little bit fiddly to get this in since it's pretty tight on space. You don't really see how tight it is right now because everything is gone, but looks pretty awesome. So now everything is back in place, and the intercooler and everything sits so much more sturdy than it did before. So really happy with that. And I filled up the coolant and I filled up the oil, and then I found out this. Not the big pile over there, but this one right here. So I thought maybe I have not fixed the drain plug enough, but it's actually leaking from somewhere else on the cooler, and I think it might be where the external slim fan has been that I cut away. So just a regular luck, just to drop everything down again, drain the coolant again. So took some deep breaths, then went to the local junkyard and picked up a better used one. And I have leak tested it so it doesn't leak. And the big problem here was when I mounted these slim fans from Biltema. They use this kit with stripes that are like round, that some like brackets are going to snap into. But the problem with this, when you remove them, you create like big holes into the cooler. So this is what caused the leak, since I removed this fan that was here. And the better way to install this is to use some stripes, zip ties. You just put them in this way, then you take a zip tie on the back and then just thread it in. It sits really sturdy, and it doesn't like destroy the fins because it's flat, so it just goes straight through. So that is the best way. And now I got even a little bit better placement of this fan right here, so I'm going to throw this on, and then we will assemble everything back, refill coolant, and hope we are good. So finally, car back on the ground and everything is in order. Nothing seems to leak right now. Refill the coolant, so now it's just the test start. that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and the content I bring to you. This is like reality check of what it's like owning a tuned car. So the less you tune your car, the more reliable it will be, most likely. So tuned to a certain degree is really good. Like if you go stage 1, 2 or 3, I would say you are pretty safe. Above that, you're just taking a lot of risks with everything. Now it has been all stupid stuff, but this is what happens. So hopefully the car will perform right now. So everything is fixed. I hope it doesn't leak. So now I'm going to drive the car for a bit, feel it out, just feel out that everything is in order. And in the next video we'll test a new tune, so that will be quite exciting. So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel, it means a lot to me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!